Welcome to In Bed with Lin Lovely, and today I have been invited into your bed, Fia, and Eugene's bed. And we are here in Koh Phangan, Thailand, which seems to be the meeting place for people of our kind.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm really glad to catch a chat with you before you leave back to Sweden in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And we are also waiting for Eugene to drop in to our conversation whenever he is ready. So, Fia, who are you?
I am a woman who is very curious about life. I'm passionate about living it to the fullest and really very, very excited about the magic of life, of the things that we may not be able to see or taste or feel just with our eyes, but that which is around us all the time, but that requires us to drop in and tune in. Yeah.
You give me the chills. It's like when you're talking, I can totally feel it. It's like you're opening this window to some void, mysterious part of this experience that I usually don't tune into. And I think that's part of Fia's magic. Like, that's why I love your music so much, because your music is in a way talking to something in me that is very simple, that is very uncomplicated, but that is so vast and so deep and so mysterious.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel it's something that many of us desire more of. It's just things that brings us in touch and brings us to that magical place. And we were talking before we started recording about children and playfulness and how they are effortlessly in that magical zone. And then when we grow up, our brain changes, our consciousness changes, and we both shared how we felt like a part of us changed at some point when we were little, and we started to think, we became aware of our thoughts, and how that shifted things in us, and how it was now an effort to play in the way that we used to do when we were children. Now we have to think about playing, it's all very interesting.
It's all very interesting. And for me, I used to think about the imagination of the child. And when I was a child, I was having this huge imagination, and the imagination was many times based on a true story, based on some fact, something that I found interesting or thrilling about reality. And then my mind just allowed that fact to expand, and what if started to take me on a deep, deep journey, and I could go to the end of the universe, through time and space, and it was like my entertainment.
Yeah.
I didn't have TV when I grew up, so this was my kind of inner TV. And when I was excited and I was sharing to people about this inner world, I was met with sarcasm, that this is just imagination. And so I saw that imagination and fantasy, it's not so valuable as knowledge and skill. And so I started to try to develop more of those valuable things in life, knowledge and skill, which took me away from fantasy. And I became very knowledgeable, very skillful, but what would I have been if I fully was allowed to develop my fantasy, my imagination?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel, as I'm an adult now, perceived as an adult, the journey I'm on, we talked about self-discovery, is very much about connecting back with those parts that maybe that I left behind when I started to mold myself into society and such. So I feel like the journey I'm on is just like coming back home and reconnecting with little Thea, and also realizing that my imagination is one of the most exciting and most fantastic tools to be able to travel as well. Like I'm immediately drawn to the drum journeys, for example. And my dear teacher and friend Anya Munai, she told me, like, drop the mind. Stop trying to figure out if it's happening or not, if it's real or not. Trust yourself and trust what you're experiencing. Trust that there is more that you've been taught. Trust that there are dimensions and worlds and frequencies and energies that you can tap into if you desire. But it requires for you to go outside of the way of functioning and the way and that you are usually operating in. That's where the
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and it's so true, and it applies on all directions of life, like spirituality. Yes, definitely. I remember also my first encounter with the shaman is how I was doubtful. What is this? Is this real or is this imagination? I feel it in my body, but it's like a dream, but it's real, but it's not. Am I making this up? Yeah. And then going into Tantra, where imagination is sometimes our vehicle, and that we can learn how to mold or manipulate with our inner hormones and neuropeptide only through using the power of our mind, or even change our behavior or release old patterns in order for us to live more, experience more, whatever, have more success.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagination is a really powerful tool.
Yeah.
So how was it for you to grow up with this special being that is you?
It's I have had the most beautiful childhood. I'm so grateful that I was born into a family that was always very supportive and encouraging of me being me. But things started to get tough when I got into school. I think many people can recognize themselves there. It's like one of the first encounters with the societal system, and the certain ways of being that are encouraged and those who are not. And for me, I did well in school, and I was liked by teachers, and I found school interesting, at least the arts and the languages and books and such, not so much the maths and the science. I didn't really get that strong part. But what was challenging in school was the social interactions. I had no problem making friends, but I realized that I had different needs than other people. I had a big strong need to be by myself, and now that sometimes were looked upon as weird and as if I didn't like people. Like I had friends to say, "Why don't you like me? You don't want to hang out with me," or you always leave early. You always say, I'm done now. I really need to go home." And it took me a long while. It wasn't until I was in my teenage years when I really understood that I was highly sensitive, and that I took in stimulation and information from the outside world in a very intense and in-depth way, and that kind of made me look at my childhood with more compassion and like understanding. Oh, now I can see why it sometimes clashed with friends who were not extra sensitive, and but that sensitivity also brought me to the arts, to the music. Like instead of hanging out with friends all the time, I made music. I wrote songs, or I was out in the forest taking pictures. I know I had a while when I was super fascinated with photography, and like I took portraits of myself in nature, and I took nature photography, like these really zoomed up close, beautiful details, like raindrops. And, so I also found myself that the sensitivity also gave me the arts and the creativity in the creative space. So yeah, I would not want to be a child again. I remember when I became adult, I realized, oh, I'm really happy to be an adult with the level of consciousness I'm at right now, because I'm more like, I can hold myself, I understand myself in a deeper way, and that makes it more easeful to interact with the world than when I was little and not really so aware of those things. Yeah.
And I can see this sensitivity in you, and the way I see it is your power, it's your superpower, but I can also imagine that it has been challenging for you at times.
Yeah. Isn't that how one of the beautiful things of life, that many times the parts of ourselves that we might have struggled with, or the wounds or the traumas, and then we shine a lot of consciousness upon them, and when we do the work to heal and integrate, it becomes the superpower.
Oh, that is so cool. I love it.
It's fucking genius!
So
Genius!
Everything that I was ashamed of in myself, or scared of, or all of the things that I would be judged for and I try to hide, is actually what makes me human. Yeah, and we are human as well. And we need to recognize that, instead of, I think today many people are pretending to be superhumans. And all of this superficial social media exploration of like presenting yourself in the best outfit, on the best in the best view, you know, with the best thoughts, and I think it's vulnerable to be a human, because we are so huge as existence, so endless, and this human can't understand, can't grasp it. And here we are, mortal, with the immortal soul, and clinging on to this life, like it's scared to be stuck in the what if. I can't do it, I can't do that, what if. And life will be full of that. Rather than, alright, I'll just surrender to life and throw myself out in existence and feel it all.
Show me. How good can it be?
So, I wanted to ask Fia about self-discovery. What is self-discovery for you?
Self-discovery for me is that the never-ending curiosity of what lies beyond the veil, what lies beyond that which I can see, both in the world and inside of myself. I talked about the picture of like the door, and the door, and the door. You just keep opening, and like once you trip down the rabbit hole, there's so much to experience and to explore as this eternal soul and this body that has an expiry date. And it makes life very exciting. I know that in here, I'm human at this time, and I just get to play. I like looking at life as a playground. Go fucking wild. Just do. And try different things, and like try different personas, and like shape shifting, and I mean we get to create our experience, so why not make it fucking awesome? Yeah.
relationship to death? Death.
It's a relationship I'm still exploring. I think there's death on many levels. The most obvious one being physical death, and the awareness that, like I said before, this body will go one day, and my friends will die, my family will die, my pets will die, and like there are human rawness, and I'm like, wow, part of me that doesn't want that. I'm safe forever. And I haven't, I'm blessed to not have had any close family or dear friends pass away since I was very little. So I feel like there are like aspects connected with death, such as grief, that I haven't explored yet. And it's kind of daunting, like I can feel it's there and it will definitely come one day, and it scares me a little bit because it's something that I can't perceive of what it's like without having been there. And then you have like experienced like the death of identity and like old ways of being falling away, and how that I've experienced and keep on experiencing, and that can be like various degrees of harshness and how deep it goes. That I experience most of like liberating. It's freeing. It creates more space. Like, oh, well, that was done with now. Even though when I'm in it, it's most often not fun. But afterwards, on the other side, like, oh.
Do you feel more alive?
Yes. Yeah. And just like, poof, okay, next level. Here we go. Yeah, I think tuning into the natural cycle that everything has. There's life and death. There's expansion, contraction, and I suffer when I try to resist that. Yeah. How is it for you?
For me, when I'm in touch with death, I'm in touch with life. And the only thing that I can be certain of is death. Yeah? And in a way, death makes me feel safe. And death is a motivator for me, definitely, in many ways, because contemplating upon death makes me realize how alive I am, and makes me grateful of life and everything that I can experience, and like enhancing my experience of life. Death. It definitely inspires me to learn how to handle extreme energies. I want to be present. I want to learn how to be present no matter what. So that that day that I know will come for sure, when I take my last exhale, I will be present. I will be 100% without fear, without holding on to life or anything. I will be down, and I will be curious, and I will be present of that final step out of matter. Oh my god. That's it. So, life and death.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So I'm really happy that we had the chance to talk, only you and me together.
Yeah.
It was nice to dive into you for a while. And where can we meet you? Where can we go to concerts with you? Because we really want to listen to you more and more and more and more.
For sure. So the best way to stay updated is through my website, viasmusicofficial.com. I'll be in Europe this spring and summer, be at the Tantra Festival, be allowed at Ängsbacka. So yeah, just stay tuned.
See you in Ängsbacka, at least in the Tantra Festival.
Yeah.